Hello YouTube, if you would like to see how I made my P90 go from this to this, and I'll show you the steps that I took in my experiments to see how it's done. Okay, let's start off by talking about this toy a little bit. This is my Classic Army P90. It's all original. I've had it for quite a few years and it's never really done the job for me. It's always underperformed, it's always had a slow rate of fire. So I'm going to make it my project to try and improve this one with some upgrades, and we are going to start with this video trying to increase the rate of fire. Now, one of the biggest issues I have with the P90 is the battery compartment is so small that the biggest battery that I can fit in the compartment is a 8.4 volt NiMH battery, which means the rate of fire is quite slow, and also sometimes it can't quite push the motor and it tends to jam up. So I've splashed out for my first upgrade and I have bought myself a LiPo battery in the hope that it will help increase the rate of fire to start with, but it'll also give a higher current output, so it should help push that motor through the spring. So my first real upgrade after the battery is going to be this T238 brushed motor. It's meant to be the high torque version with a 33,000 RPM, and I've not seen any reviews on these, so I wanted to give one a go and we could see how much of a difference it makes. So what I'll do is I'll do a before and after with the battery, and then I'll do the motor and do a before and after with that before we move on to any other upgrades. I just wanted to do a quick unboxing of this one because I've not actually used one of these before, and like I say, there's no YouTube videos about it anywhere. So it does come in this nice little box. I've already taken the instructions out, so we'll set those to the side, but there's not a lot of information in there. And the motor itself does look quite posh to start with. It's very clean, it's got the venting. I did notice that the paint was a bit scratched, but it's only going to get scratched up anyway, so I'm going to get that one in there and we'll see what difference this makes. What I will say while I'm here as well is that I've never really done any upgrades on airsoft guns before. I've only tinkered with them to get them working when they're completely broken, so we'll see what happens there. After we've changed the motor out and done a test shoot, then we will move on to the rest of the gearbox. So I have a set of SHS 16:1 ratio gears. So hopefully they'll be a bit stronger than the original ones and increase the rate of fire, and I'm hoping that having a stronger battery and a stronger motor will counteract the extra force needed to push these gears through the spring. We're not changing the spring at the moment because this is about rate of fire for indoor use. I will do some upgrades on power later, but not in this video. While I'm doing the gears, I'm going to try and upgrade the old plastic bearings to steel ones from SHS. I've also got some basic shims which look like they're from the same factory as SHS, even though they're not marked up as such. And I've got a sector delay chip which you can't really see because it's blue on blue. Let me move it there, to ensure that the BBs still feed with the extra speed. I'm going to do a quick before and after dry fire shoot with the old battery and then with the new battery. What I will say is this weapon is currently stuck on semi-automatic because the fire selector is damaged, and it was stuck on fully automatic, but I had to pull this piece out to lock it into single shot so that I could use it in my local CQB arena. So let's open up the battery compartment. It's fairly basic. We've got a small fuse in there which I might need to upgrade later, and I've already cleared the weapon so I know it's going to be fine. So let's do a test shoot with that. And it's charged. There we go. So as you can see, it doesn't always pull through the spring if you're too quick with it, and sometimes it gets jammed up. So let's change the battery over. Not much difference there, but I think it does spin a little bit faster through the cycle. Next I am going to try installing this motor, and then we'll do another test shoot with the new LiPo battery to see what rate of fire we get from there before carrying on. what I'll do is I'll put the actual video in fast forward while I'm doing the work, because I'm not going to tell you how to do it, because I don't really know myself. Okay, here's our gearbox. So we're going to start with the motor and then we'll work from there. I'm going to put some pieces to the side so they're out of the way. What you might have noticed when it was the other way around is there's some bits in here where I've tried to fix the fire selector. So we're going to put that other piece back in whilst we're at it, and we'll see if that makes any difference. Unfortunately, to get to the gearbox, I have to take a few pieces out. Okay, now we've just got the motor housing to deal with, so let's get this apart and change the motor over. Okay, unfortunately something jumped out and shot across the room as I took that out, so hopefully it's not something important. And in hindsight, I think I failed to notice which was the positive and which was the negative before I took it apart. Just while we're watching me struggle with the motor and fast forward, just wanted to mention that the battery was from Amazon and the rest of the components I actually bought from AliExpress, hence the low prices, but because I bought it all together, the postage was free. Okay, first rookie mistake. I've got my contacts around the wrong way, so I've got to do that again. Okay, so I just redid the motor and my camera overheated, so while I was letting it cool down I finished putting it apart. Unfortunately I did break this little tab off from here, but hopefully that won't affect it too much. Right, so I think we need to wire it back up and we'll get it back in the gun. Actually, what I might do while I'm here is just very quickly pop this piece back in so we get some fully auto action. Why don't we try doing it out of the box? Why are you being difficult? There we go. Okay, so the fire selector's still not working. I think that's a lot faster. Right. Awesome. Right, we'll leave it there for a minute, and then in a minute we will start taking the gearbox apart. And I think what we'll do is I will take it apart off camera and then you can have a look at it when we're done. Okay, just as a side note, I've just popped it back together, and much better already. So next we'll move on to the gearbox and we'll do all of this at once. I'm not entirely sure all of this will fit, but we'll crack on and do these pieces as well. See you in a minute. Hello and welcome back. What I've done is I've taken the liberty of getting us back to the point that we finished up on last time. Repositioned the camera a bit because I saw that you weren't really seeing what I was doing so well, and I do have to apologise, I've got some machinery on in the background, so if worst comes to worst I'll do this as a voiceover instead. So what we're going to try and do now is we're going to try and have a stab at the gearbox, which will be our shims, our 16:1 gears, the bearings and a sector delay chip. Now unfortunately I can see straight away now that I've got it apart, I don't think these are going to fit, because it looks like I've bought 8mm and it looks like this box takes 6mm bearings, so we might have to use the original bearings for now, and then I'll order some in so that when we do the spring and the power section I'll be able to upgrade those at the same time. But we'll carry on, we'll do the shims and the new gears and we'll see what happens. What I'm going to do, I'll take it apart and then we'll have a look in and give it a clean up. Okay, now we've got it down to our basic pieces. This is very greasy, but I cleaned it recently, so I'll give it a quick wipe down, but the grease that's in here isn't that dirty, so I don't think it's worth going to too much effort, so let's give that a quick clean out. There are actually already a couple of shims in here, but I don't know what size they are, and it was a bit hit and miss as to where they landed. It's quite clear. Yeah, they're definitely not going to fit, so I'll have to stick to the original bearings for now, but they look to be in pretty good condition, so we'll keep them, carry on with this. So let's grab the original gears. And our new ones, which are evidently a bit nicer colour straight away. Let's see what happens. Right, what I am going to do is I'm going to get these in and then I'm going to shim them. I won't talk you through how to do shimmings because I've never done it before and I don't want to teach you wrong, so I'll fast forward through that bit. Now I know you're supposed to use proper airsoft grease for this, but I'm a cheapskate, so I've got a big tub of general grease that I use for everything. Like I say, I'm doing it on a budget. One day I'll buy some proper grease, but this has done the job for me all this time. So we've got a little repair to do there. I might do that first, because my fire selector fix has popped out. It looks like a mess because it is. It's a couple of bits of yogurt pot chopped up to be used as washers just to keep that little return slip in place, because otherwise it doesn't engage properly. Just try and keep those straight. When I get to the end of all of this, what I am going to do is buy a Perrin MOSFET with an electronic trigger unit, so this piece here should be redundant at that point. But again, we're doing it on a budget, we're doing it step by step. I want to make sure all the internals are done before I add the MOSFET, because that way I'll never have to hopefully open it up again, apart from maintenance. Now, this is a really basic off-the-shelf factory style piston. It's not much cop, but it works for now. So once the rate of fire experiment and stages are finished, then I'll move on to trying to get a better piston, better seals, more power, so it might involve a new spring. And we'll start this video process all over again. And that's when we might think about upgrading the barrel and stuff as well. Okay, let's just have a think about this. That's it. I found this section of, I found reassembly really difficult actually. It's not come naturally to me. I have had this one apart before, just in case you were wondering. That's not going to happen. Again, we should use silicone lube on these seals, but I'm looking at replacing it in the near future anyway, so it doesn't really matter a great deal. Certainly I'll be changing that nozzle because that's horrendous. This spray is evil. I'm sure there's a better way to do this, but I haven't worked it out yet, so. See what I mean? Maybe that's the way to do it. Alright, that's in. Hopefully it'll stay there for the minute. Alright, then we've got this. I'm not going to bother cleaning this. I oiled it down and everything the other day. And then the worst piece, I need to dry my hands off for this bit. Last time I tried to do this latch, I ended up with the spring in my finger. And it was not comfortable. So this one will catch on this piece here. This is where I should have got some of those Gearbox clips off the Tinterweb, but again, I'm trying to be a cheapskate, so I'm trying to remember how I did it last time. I'm pretty sure I used a pair of tweezers, but I'm not sure what I've done with those. See, straight out. Right, bear with me. Right, I went and got my trusty tweezers and came back to find that the camera had stopped recording, and also noticed that I'd forgotten to put the piston in. So let's do that now. I'm going to use these tweezers to try and hold that latch, reversal latch, in place so that we can get on and put this all together, because I hate this part. I can never do it first time and you always end up with greasy fingers everywhere, so it makes it even harder. So what I'm going to do is, I have just a little file here. I'm going to use that to push that in. It's not quite lined up, I don't think, so it's not playing ball. I've done a bad job. There we go. And hopefully it will go in. But something isn't quite sitting right. What is it? That's unusual. Right, let's get that back in there, see if we can hold that reversal latch. Try not to take a pry out with the spring. Let's see what's causing the aggro. There we go, piston twisted. Let's get that seated properly and try again. As you can see, I've lost my gear. So let's try this bit again. Anti-reversal latch. Twist it, get it on there, push it down. Come on, we need you on this side. Hopefully that will hold it all in place. Should all be lined up, but something hasn't. There we go. Cool. I've never done it that quickly before. Cool. Anti-reversal latch is working. So let's get some of these screws back in before it all comes pinging apart on me. And then we'll get the whole thing back together and give it a good test. If we consider the battery to be consumable and only include the internal components we've used, this upgrade process in total has cost £40.55. Okay, and there we have it, everything's put back together. I'll put the rest of it back together off screen because you've seen me do that before, and then we'll give it a test fire with the battery in there and we'll see what happens. Catch you in a minute. I've got it back together, I've whacked battery in there so we can do a test. Now, I know you're probably screaming at me at this point, what about the sector delay chip? I totally forgot about it. As I've already put it back together, I'll try it out and see how it feeds without it. Essentially, it goes in between these two so that it pushes down the delay for the tappet a little bit longer. This piece is a different shape on the gear I've just put in, so hopefully that's enough. But we'll see what happens. And now for the moment of truth. So yeah, much better. Right, we will come back, we will give that a test shot once it's up and running with a full mag, and we'll see how the auto goes. I'm pleased with the rate of fire. Let's see what happens. Catch you in a bit. Back again. Here it is. I took it outside and it seemed to perform absolutely fine on both semi-automatic and fully automatic without that sector delay chip. So I'm going to leave it as it is for now. The next time you'll see it, it'll be out on the field and we'll give it a bit of a run through. If you like watching these sorts of videos, do give this video a like so I know it's worth doing more of them. I've got plenty of other older guns that need upgrading. And if you like what I'm doing on this channel, please do subscribe so I know it's worthwhile. See you next time.